As noted in our last episode, National Coming Out Day was on October 11th. We decided to keep the theme of coming out for the entire month of October. In this episode, we interview the Traveling Throuple. Ness, Katie, and Kay tell us their stories of coming out as not only lesbians, but also as an all-lesbian throuple. Tatas and tea.
Hi, we are the Traveling Throuple. My name is Ness.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Kay.
And yeah, we're an all lesbian throuple.
How do you all know each other?
We met because we were working together. Me and Katie were already together, and we became best friends.
When I first started at the place we were at, I was working in Katie's room. And then I gradually moved to preschool in Ness's room. So it was funny that like my two classrooms were working as their TAs. And then we all became best friends and we started hanging out all the time. And
yeah, we moved in.
Brought the U-Haul right with you from the start.
Yeah. The U-Haul started before the dating started.
Yeah.
Did you live together before you all became a throuple, or?
Yeah. We hung out a lot, and we made the joke one day of, oh, like, you're here so often, like, you might as well just move in. And we have a 3-bedroom apartment, so there was, like, plenty of room. So I was like, okay, yeah, like, that'd be fun. Like, we're just, like, all best friends living together. And it was really fun we had, I think, like, maybe, like, 6-ish months before we started dating of just, like, best friends, roommates, hanging out. And, like, we didn't think anything, like, we didn't think anything of it at the time because we were just best friends. But then living together, I think, like, just started it all.
Yeah. Blossomed.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And do you all identify as lesbians?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share your coming out story? How did you know you liked girls?
I don't feel like my coming out story is like as typical as like most. I was definitely like a later in like life kind of discovery. I have always just like the typical like teenager, like loved all like the celebrity guys and like hung out with like the guys in like my friend group, and like that was just like where I was comfortable. But I don't think it wasn't until like my junior year that I like had this one friend that I was like, oh, I kind of feel something like different. And then I was like, you know what, like let's just like, that's maybe like we're just like really close. Like I spent all of my weekends with her, that must just be it. So like I continued, and then I think I did a lot of like self-discovery and was like, you know what if we like do like try this, like, so I came out to that friend first, and I was like, hey, I like you more than a friend. I was like, and like you don't have to say it back, but and she didn't. She wasn't into girls, but that really made me discover like, hey, I think I do like girls. So I came out to my best friend, like my other best friend at the time first, and then I came out to my mother, and I had a very like good support system, my sister. But I didn't come out until I was like 18.
So I was raised in a very Catholic household. I had like here and there inklings of like, oh, like this girl's really pretty, or I'm really close with this friend. But I think that I just brushed it off because growing up I thought it was wrong, or I was going to be judged for who I was. Throughout like middle school, I had boyfriends. In high school, I fell for one of my friends, and we dated for a really long time. That just like felt like what I needed. Like I knew loving a woman would be different, and finally like seeing that come to light, I was like, oh, like this makes sense. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I came out to my parents, and it was difficult being able to express myself, but also respect their values and their vision for my future and like what that looked like for them. We had some ups and downs for sure, and I had to do a lot of like self-searching, self-discovery on my own, trying to figure out who I wanted to be without necessarily having that support along the way. Once college came, like I said, I just did a lot on my own. I was living in New Hampshire at the time, so I was away from family and just on my own, and then we became friends. I would say that my parents were supportive of our friendship, and then eventually they got to know these two as my friends, and now they know them as my partners. And we go over all the time to watch football or have dinner with them, and it's been really nice to see a turn in their viewpoint and their being supportive.
How did they take it when you introduced your partners?
Well, this is definitely a different dynamic to introduce. It's not as simple as just saying like, "Hey, I'm with a girl." It's I'm with two biological women. I think it definitely helped that they knew them from the start and already had a bond with them. So they love them.
Yeah, I've known my whole life that I liked girls. I was like trying to kiss girls when I was like at daycare, like before school, like before I entered kindergarten, and I had a lot of friends in like elementary school, and like I don't know, I would like always like chase the girls around, like the boys chase the girls around, and I was always trying to like be like masculine and like show off to them, because like the little boys, they would like run around and like act all tough, so I would run around and act all tough and like get all like dirty, and I was really tomboyish. Like, you know, the girls liked dolls and pink and purple, and I liked animals and digging in the dirt and gardening. Those were like the signs. But like I also grew up in a very religious family. Nobody had ever like told me what being gay was. Nobody explained it to me. Not that I really would have expected them to, but like that wasn't really a thing. And I remember in middle school, my mom introduced me to a coworker that she was friends with. I'll never forget it. He was fabulous. Beyond fabulous. And I was like, I don't know, in 6th grade, what is that, like 12 years old. And I didn't understand, like, why is this man acting so feminine? So I like asked my mom, I was like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, he's gay. And she kind of explained it to me. And my parents, even though they were like religious, they weren't like hateful. They're very open-minded people. So she explained it to me just in a casual way, like, he likes other men. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was an option. Cool. As I like went through middle school and into high school, I tried to like fit the mold of like girly. So like the makeup and the dresses and purses and, you know, whatever else girls do. I don't really get it still. I tried all of that. But I still felt myself gravitating towards like my female classmates and my friends. I still felt myself being attracted to female celebrities, or even like my female teachers or women in power. Man, give me a woman in uniform and I'm done for. But I still just like, I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. Like, I knew what gay was now. I knew that there wasn't really anything wrong with it because my parents never instilled that in me. So like, I just kind of went through the trials and tribulations of that. I got accepted into a pre-college program, and it was a very eclectic group of people from all around the country, same age as me. I met this girl, and I always say she made my head spin for the first time. And like, I'd had boyfriends, but I never really had that feeling of like instant attraction. I was always just kind of like going with the flow of things in a relationship. And I met her, and I was like, man, all right. And I think I was just like in a moment of trying to like show off to her that she told me she was bisexual, and I was like, yeah, me too. And then I remember like going to bed, and I was like, what the heck did I just say? And like, but then I started thinking about it, and I was like, it didn't feel wrong to say that. Like, it felt good to say that. Like, it was like that aha moment of like, wow, I just said out loud how I've been feeling my whole life. I didn't really know what to do, so I just like told my best friend, and she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of could have told you that. I was like, all right, great. You should have. I told my mom not long after. I was like, yeah, I think I like girls. And she was like, all right. And then I met a girl here. We started dating. After I started dating her, she would like come over for sleepovers, and like for a little while I got away with it because like my mom didn't care, and my dad was like, oh, you guys are just friends. That's so cute. He was definitely shocked when I went to him like, I don't know, like 2 months later. And I like remember I stood in front of the TV. He was watching a baseball game. He's a big baseball fan. I stood in front of the TV, which is like a no-no in our house. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like, Dad, I'm gay. I like girls. And he was like, okay, can I finish watching my game? And it was just like really cut and dry and simple. I know that I'm very lucky for that, and I'm really thankful that I have a family like that. My brother gave me a high five. You know, it was just like a really simple thing.
How did you and Katie meet?
We started working at the same place that Kay came to work as well. And Ness was working in a preschool room at the time, and I was working in a toddler room at the time. I'll never forget it. I was standing at like the desk that we had, and like next to the desk was a giant like bay window. And Ness had walked right past the window, and I quickly turned around to my coworker and I said, "Who is that?" And she was like, "Oh, that's Ness." And I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna be mine someday." I was like, "That's endgame right there." And then that friend ended up was like, "Oh my god, this is so funny." So like went and told Ness. So then Ness was like, "I'm gonna flirt with her for fun, just to like be funny."
I was such an ass.
Ness had a partner at the time, and so did I. So Ness just started like flirting with me, like fake. And then eventually we were like, I don't think this is faking anymore. I really like you. And Ness was like, I also like you. So we ended up started dating.
We broke up with our significant others and started dating. Well, I remember when that person came to me and they were like, "Yeah, this girl Katie likes you," and I was like, "Who the heck is Katie?" Like, I don't know who that is.
It was such a big
and
center.
she had been working there for like 6 months, and I was like, I never heard of her. I was such like in my own little bubble, and yeah, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna mess with her. I'm gonna flirt with her." And then like the second I like laid eyes on her and like started like play flirting, I was like, "Nah." I was like, "This is gonna turn out bad."
So I love that you all met at the same place. How did you come out? I mean, Kay talked a little bit about coming out to your parents as like a throuple, but I'm sure like to greater society or to your family and your friends. How was that?
I mean, we talked about coming out in general, and our families have been supportive along the way. Coming out as polyamorous is a lot different. We came out to our families individually. We started with Ness's family and
on Christmas Day.
And Ness was just like, "Hey, I gotta tell you guys something. We're all together. We're all dating." And they were like, "Okay." They were like, "How does that work?" And we just kind of explained to them that we can't all legally be married, but we can do like commitment ceremonies and agree to be with each other forever. With Katie's family,
she already like saw Kay as another like daughter, so I was like, "Hey mom, like we're all together, like the three of us, like all three of us date." And she goes, "Oh my god, yeah, I could have told you that." She was like, "I was waiting for you to tell me. Like, you guys are way too close." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "No, I love Kaylee."
And with my family, I chose to tell them myself. They were okay at first, but they had a lot of questions, concerns, wanted to make sure that I was supported and loved because they were already legally married. So they just wanted to like see if I would also be supported and loved and cared for. And yeah, I think that over time they just it just kind of became the norm. We already like were coming over as friends, so they were like, "Okay, like it's your life, whatever makes you happy." And they've been supportive in the sense that they want to see me happy. Coming out to friends was
so easy.
So I have a friend from college, and she also has a fiance, a woman, and she has been our lesbian friend group that we've been hanging out with for many years now. And she was the first one I called, and I was like, "Hi, I have something to tell you." I was like, "So I don't know how you're gonna take this, but I'm with Ness and Katie now." And she literally just screamed into the phone. She's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "I love this for you," and she's like, "This is so exciting." And that's pretty much how all of our friends took it. Yeah. They all were just so supportive. They always called us like the trio or like the Three Musketeers. So they just like loved seeing us together to begin with. And then we started our TikTok.
Yeah, so the social media was
for funsies at first.
Yeah, it was for fun at first. None of us were polyamorous before this. And we found that when we were looking for things, there really wasn't like resources. Like if you're coming out as a lesbian, you can go online and you can find lesbian creators and lesbian advice and lesbian blogs and lesbian podcasts. But there was like nothing for polyamory. It was very, very limited. And even more limited was there was no, like, all lesbian throuple resources at all.
Or just, I feel like throuple in general. Like,
Yeah.
when you think of polyamory, it's usually like multiple partners, and this person might be dating this person, but not necessarily dating the other person.
Yeah. Polyamory and like polycules, that's limited. And then when you narrow it down to thruples, even more limited. And then you narrow it to lesbian thruples, and it's like impossible. Doesn't exist. And like I think we found one like content creator, like lesbian throuple, and they had broken up. And we were like, okay, well, that's wonderful. We were like, okay, so is there hope for us? And like, you know, the start of polyamory, the start of being a throuple, like, yes, we were through restaurants, we fell in love, but we struggled at first because like me and Katie were an established married couple, and like we had to navigate communication styles and jealousy and things like that. And like that's why we were seeking resources, and there just wasn't anything out there. We had nothing to relate to. And the first year had gone by, and I was like, I really think we should like give social media a go. Like, I think we should show the world whatever this is that we have, and like see if it works out. And I coined the name Traveling Throuple because like we like to travel, and that's when we started to learn that there are some stuff, like some things starting to pop up, some resources like the Throuple Talk podcast, our friends Camp Throuple, we met Triad and True, which is another like pretty popular throuple. But again, all the throuples for the most part that we meet are one guy and two girls. So for the most part, we are still pretty unique in the sense that like we've met a couple international all women throuples, but we're like the only one
that we know of
that's making like
content
and like pushing it out to the world, I guess.
So are you guys like closed with each other then now?
We make the joke that we're poly for each other.
Yeah. We still carry the same mindsets as like we did when we were monogamous. These are my partners, and yes, there are two of them, but I'm not seeking anymore. They're not seeking anymore. Right. All of my love that I have to give, all of the things that I can give to my partners to meet their needs and be a good partner, I'm giving it all right now. I don't have any more to give. And if I brought in another partner for myself, then I wouldn't be able to be a good enough partner probably for them, or it would take away my ability to be a good partner. So,
it's also the concept of feeling like we're fulfilled already. Like we talk all the time about how we meet each other's needs, and like the needs that Ness meets for me, Katie also meets the opposite needs. So we don't need anything else. If that makes sense.
We fill in each other's like, really well. And that's not to say that like everybody could do polyamory. Like, we get it. Like, it's really not for everybody. Like, it is challenging. Like, there's no room for selfishness in a polyamorous relationship. But there is also room for a lot of self-love in a polyamorous relationship. So, like, retraining the brain to be like, okay, I'm not selfish, but I can love myself a whole lot more because I have two partners that make me feel really, like, worthy, and also give me the space to be authentically everything that I am. You know, I think it's just like, it's human nature to have curiosity. It's human nature to have a lot of love to give. It's also human nature to like need a lot of love.
We all started off as friends. So like, I guess, did it turn for you and you were just like, oh, now I have romantic feelings?
So we met Kaylee in 2019. COVID happened. We hung out a lot through like the shutdown, and we just got really close. That was like the start of our like friendship. We met in 2019. Our friendship started in 2020. We go to Disney a lot. We're a big Disney family. So she started coming to Disney with us sometimes, and she was over like every day. She was sleeping over like every other night. I would go in and out of these phases of being like, she is really pretty. I'm a lesbian, so I just kind of thought it was normal. Like, I have Katie, I love Katie. I never, like, that never wavered. And I wasn't really in the mindset of like, whoa, Katie doesn't meet my needs, so maybe Kaylee does. It was just more so like my brain actively recognized that she is a very attractive human being. And whenever she would come around or come over, I would get really nervous. I was like, this is weird. These feelings, they would just come in like waves for me. It felt like a cycle. Like I would get them really, really strong and I would have to like, like keep myself in check. And then they would like kind of like dimmer down a little bit. And I was like, perfect. She was also with someone. Like she was in a relationship and she seemed happy. In April of 2022, she moved in with us. And coincidentally, the same day she moved in with us, that relationship ended. We helped her through like the breakup process, the grieving process. That cycle started back up for me. And I was like really attracted to her, but I felt like messed up about it. Because I was like, this girl is like completely heartbroken and in shambles, and I'm over here thinking she's hot. Like, what's wrong with me? But then I started to realize that it was a lot more than a physical attraction. It was turning into a really deep emotional connection. At that same time, me and Katie had started couples counseling because everyone always says that the first year of marriage is the hardest. And we were like, let's not be a statistic. Let's make sure our communication skills are on point. And we learned really good communication styles and like how to communicate more effectively. And I felt comfortable going to Katie and telling her how I felt.
Ness had come to me and was like, hey, I really like Kaylee. But simultaneously, alongside of Ness going through that process, I was also going through that process. I've never been the type to have like that really close of a friendship with anybody. And then I met Kaylee, and she was literally my best friend, like the maid of honor. Like she was the person I wanted to go to with all of my problems. Even before we were dating, me and Kay were cuddling on the couch. But I think, like Ness said, like at some point my brain was like, whoa, you're starting to form like this really deep emotional connection. And as Ness has already said, she's a very attractive lady. She's very pretty. So I also was like, Ness, now that you mention it, I've also been going through that process. I also have feelings for Kaylee.
You should have seen the shock on my face.
And then we were like, what do we do? But then we were like, we can't tell her. We were like, she's going to run for the hills. This is our best friend. She just moved in. There is no way that we're opening our mouth. We went on a couple trips with Kaylee. I think it was really the Grand Canyon trip that me and Ness were like, I don't know if we can really continue to keep this to ourselves. I think at one point during that trip, Kay was like, can I sleep in your bed? And we were like, yeah. So Kay just like slept in our bed and it was normal.
Okay, so April of 2022, it was the day I moved in. It was a very hard day. Just trying to like figure out who I was as a human. Like it was a really sudden change for me to figure out what to do and where to go from there. And I think that it was just coincidence. That was the day that I moved in. And we started doing like a bunch of fun things to distract me. And like we had so much fun. So I just like started doing everything with them. I think that really like catapulted our bond. Yeah, so then we went on a trip to Disney World. I noticed that they had started to be a little flirty. They always say that they realized that I like started to flirt back, and they were like, whoa. Like there was one night where we were just making jokes about like ruining the friendship. And then we went back to our Airbnb and we were like, we should talk. And we talked for like 2 hours about how we all had feelings. Then from there, like we said, we did our research. We tried to figure out what we were, if we wanted to commit to something like this.
And then we ended up just coming to the decision after some research and everything that we were going to give being a throuple a go.
Yeah. So we wanted it.
And here we are. It's been like 2 years.
Are there questions like you hate answering or questions you love? Like when people ask, you're like, this is such a good question.
So one rule of thumb that we've kind of always kept in place, just like due to like professional lives, personal lives, family and friends, we don't talk about like intimacy, like the surface level that we usually are okay with saying. Like we all sleep in the same bed. Yay. It's a king size bed. So yeah, I would say a lot of people ask us about our bed and the sleeping situation. A lot of people are always very inquisitive about if intimacy of any capacity has to involve all three of us all the time. Keeping it broad, no. I would say the question we get the most that I have a love-hate relationship with.
Take it away, Chip.
Is probably how we handle jealousy and or if we experience jealousy. Like, I don't mind answering it. I don't mind answering pretty much any question as long as it's not the intimacy, like, factor. Like, we are open books. Yeah. We're here to educate. We're here to, like, enlighten and help people understand that, like, a dynamic like this exists.
Right.
And we try to help people also understand, like, the things that we experience, you're also experiencing in a monogamous relationship. It's just that there's one extra person, and people seem to really think that that one extra person is like sinking of the ship, like the do or die. Like, yes, there is a little bit more communication, there's a little bit more work, there's, you know, making sure that all three voices are heard, but like, we handle conflict and we do the same things like that a monogamous relationship does.
Right. We
a
go
lot of
on
people,
dates, we fight about chores, we clean the house, care for our pets, like we just do all the normal relationship stuff.
I think that's like the why like we kind of do what we do is for another reason is to like show everyone out there, not only like to educate them of, like about this, but like also show them like we are just like a normal monogamous couple. There's just one other person.
Yeah.
I think kind of just like our main point of like we are just in love. We are a relationship just like anybody else's. At the end of the day, we are each other's best friends, so we do everything together. We travel the world, have pets that we love and adore. We
work our lives away to corporate America.
What we strive towards is just normalizing this and showing everybody that we are just like any other relationship.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been a good time.
Yeah, no, this has been fun.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye. As always, if you like what you hear, don't forget to follow us and subscribe. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We are also on Instagram and TikTok at tatasandtpod. If you want to learn more about the Traveling Throuple, give them a follow as well. They are on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at traveling_throuple. Listen up, fans, we're Tatas and Tea, where we turn our traumas into comedy. But we're here for some fun to retell our life tales, from hilarious dates to epic fails. You want some advice, just ask away, but we'll share our opinions either way. No problems too big, no questions too small. With Tatas and Tea,